What's happening, everybody? Thanks for hanging tight with us. We just had a couple of minutes behind just because this is rock and roll time, right? So yeah, we get a 15-minute grace period. It's kind of like bar time, right? We go the other direction. We go 15 minutes late. Before I even get started, let me just thank my sponsor. I have an incredible sponsor, Five Star Guitars. If you're anywhere outside of Oregon, you're going to love this. You're going to save a ton of money if you're looking for guitars or accessories or anything else by going to the link below, fivestarguitars.com/all-access-live. You're going to see several pages on their website that are specific just to this channel. And you can use the promo code of All Access 15. So you're going to save 15% off everything you see on that page. Plus, there's no sales tax in Oregon. So you're saving a ton of dough. They've been incredibly gracious to me. If you want to know more about them, I just uploaded a Get to Know Five Star Guitars channel video behind the scenes on my YouTube channel. So you can go to that right here. If you go to youtube.com/@AccessKevin. So if you're on any other platform and you're watching this, I would love it if you do me a favor. Go to that channel right now. Subscribe. You can even become a member. And as you can see in the scrolling ticker here, there's some specific things for members on this channel. You can subscribe, and that's great. You can get access to 259 episodes prior to this one. Amazing interviews from people like Tawny Katane and Rudy Sarzo and ton of guests. But members, if you join as a backstage member or a super fan, it's very affordable, $2.99 a month. And you get access to some of the behind the scenes special members only content. So I've got a brand new interview that I just did with my dear friend Kelly Keegi, drummer and singer for Night Ranger. At his house, we get a real intimate look at his little studio there. And I also just interviewed Cy Kernan from The Fix. And we also have a members only short interview with Midge Ure from Ultravox. Some amazing interviews coming up as well. So if you subscribe to the channel, you're going to get access to all those things. So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. You already know. If you go to accesskevin.com, you can get everything in the archives. But we are in the midst of November, which means it's gratitude month. I'm so grateful for my next guest. And I got to tell you, we just did the 80s cruise. When I say we, A Flock of Seagulls was just on the 80s cruise where we went through the Caribbean. And I got to see a different side of this singer. I've been a huge fan of Jack Russell, Great White from the early days. We'll talk a little bit about that. But one thing you're going to find is this gentleman's personality, his heart is immense. And so all the way from the Rockies just north of me, I've got Mr. Jack Russell. So
hey,
buddy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, bud?
I'm good, man. You're looking spry, my friend.
Thank you. I'm feeling good, man. It was a lot of fun, that cruise, huh?
It was awesome. Yeah. That was the first time I had ever had a chance to sit and talk to you and get to know you just a little bit. Your beautiful wife, Heather, was also just right there by your side. And we should talk,
thank you.
We'll talk a little bit about family and all that. I also loved your band, man. I get goosebumps thinking, Robbie, your guitarist, holy crap, man. I reached out to him after you and I had chatted. I went back and I looked at your solo records and I'm like, okay, Robbie, please tell me that's you on guitar. And he said, yeah, not only is that me, but we recorded this last record at my studio. You got a killer band. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, man.
Thank you.
And so speaking of the cruise, I was just talking to Steve Robinson, the creator of the Sands, which is in Cancun at Planet Hollywood. I just found out that you're booked for 2023 at the Sands. So you're
oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, man, I'm always the last one to know.
You're going to be in Cancun enjoying November, man. So
I did hear something about that. That's cool. I love Cancun.
Yeah.
You just get away from the people that want to sell you timeshare, you're all right,
Yeah, no, just avoid those guys. I was just there at this event 2 weeks ago. And I will tell you that the facility, man, the brand new Planet Hollywood hotel is incredible.
Smoking, huh?
It's amazing. Well, if you're watching this, go to thesands.rocks and you're going to see there's great opportunities right now where you can get package deals for their rooms. The rooms are ridiculous. I mean, it's like everybody's a rock star when you get booked for this thing.
Right. That's cool.
I told him today, he's in for a treat, man. And I say this because I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Your voice was so good on the cruise, man. And when we all get up to our ages, right? I mean, these bands that had our highlight in the 80s, it's the one muscle that no matter what you do, I mean, you can work out your arms and your, abs and all that. The one muscle that just goes and there's not much you can do. I mean, you can take care of it a little bit, but the voice. And I was so hopeful, man, because I'd seen you a bunch in the past. I was so hopeful you still had that range. And dude, you knocked it out of the park, man. It was so awesome. I told the owner of the Sands, I said, you're gonna freak out. Everybody waits for those notes of like Save Your Love and Rock Me. And you killed it, man. So I'm excited.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's a lot of work when you get older, It's not like falling off a log like it used to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, but it still seems to be working okay. So, I take the good ones when I get them, you know what I mean?
Well, I was just going to say one thing that I found when I was doing a little bit of research for you was that you re-recorded Save Your Love. You have a newer version of Jack Russell's Great White doing that. And
yeah, we did. That was on the acoustical bites.
Yeah.
We did the whole One Spitting album. We did it all acoustic, you know what I mean?
And there's a video that goes along with it.
There is. Cleopatra did a video, and the video is kind of ho-hum, but it's all right. The recording is great. I really love the recording of that song. I did a little bit. I laid back on it a lot, made it a little more bluesy, and it really has a good feel to it. I really enjoy it.
You, speaking of blues, man, I know that that's a huge influence for you, right? Here, I'm going to switch this so that you can be atop your name here on the caption.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. So just in case people didn't know who I'm talking to here. It's nice. I see in the chat too. It's nice. One of your fans from Maine is chiming in here. So thanks for being here, Elena.
Right on.
So the blues,
hello,
dude, like you, from the beginning, and I'll tell you, the first time I got to see you play, and I think it's funny when people come up to a flock of seagulls and they're like, yeah, remember when we saw you in 1982 at XY? And our singer's like, yeah, sure. Of course.
Yeah, right, whatever.
But a magical moment for me, man, was watching you, Mr. Big, and Scorpions at Red Rocks. It was, and not far from where you're living right now, as a matter of fact.
No, not at all. I mean, it literally about 5 minutes from where I'm at.
It's a bucket list for me to play there. And
me too. I mean, but me too again. That was such a great show. I mean, it's really cool. The backstage is like hewn out of the living rock. You know what I mean? Yeah. The sandstone back there. They just tunneled into it, and that's where you have your room. It's like living with the Flintstones or something. Yeah. All these little caves and stuff. And you just cruise through there, and there's the room, and there's a dispensary, and here's the it's really, really cool, man.
The dispensary. Well, that is Colorado, man. That was one of the first to to legalize there. But
yeah, right.
When I chat with other band members that we tour with, there are a couple spots for me. I mean, I've got a couple of favorite venues in the country, and then there are a couple of bucket list items for me that I've not yet played. Red Rocks is one of them. Madison Square Gardens. Man, someday I'd love to play the
That's
Gardens.
That's a good one.
But do you have like one or two that stand out? You think, man, if you had one more venue to play in America and it was the only place you could play, what would you want to go out on?
Oh God, in America, pretty much done them all.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what's the one that stands out?
Let me think a little harder here. There's got to be one that I haven't done in America. I know there is. We've done Kobe Hall in Detroit. We've done Joe Louis in Detroit. We didn't play Madison Square Garden. We actually played the Felt Forum, which is below that, with Twisted Sister. So I would like to play Madison Square Garden, the actual gardens.
Yeah,
that would be a hot one. What else is there we could play? God, I mean, we pretty much between White Snake and Judas Priest, I mean, they were both sold out tours. I mean, we did both legs with both bands.
Yeah.
Usually you just do half of the tour, then another band does the other half of the tour. And we were lucky enough to get the bands to keep us on for the full tours. So we did every freaking show you can imagine. I mean, and it was really cool. You get your book of lies, the itinerary.
Yeah.
And you read it, and you read next to it, okay, blah, 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 capacity 20,000, sold out, capacity 20,000, sold out. it was just so cool to look through that book and have them all say sold out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Man,
we played every show we played on both of those tours was sold out, and we played summer and winter on both of them. It was hectic.
that was Whitesnake and Judas Priest, you said, those two
Judas
tours.
Priest was in '84, and Whitesnake was in '87, '88.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
You know, that's another thing that I'm always fascinated by too, is to hear about bands that you've toured with. You know, for us, with the Flock of Seagulls, there are certain bands that we match up well with, you know, and people that
sure.
come, they, it's the perfect rendering. Sometimes we get booked with really bizarre pairings, you know, but
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
for you guys, I mean, what's one that just stands out? You think, you know what, it was the perfect blend because stylistically we were good, and the camaraderie amongst the members, we were all hanging backstage. And do you have one?
Well, Tesla was a great one.
Oh
That was
yeah,
great. We did the co-headline tour with Tesla, where we did back to back. Like we'd headline one night and they'd headline the next night, and so on and so forth. We had like Kicks opening up for part
oh
of it, and
yeah,
Badlands opening up for part of it.
oh my
And
god, nice man.
that was a great tour. Of course, Whitesnake was phenomenal. I mean, those bands really, really played well together.
Yeah.
Great White and Whitesnake, and
Oh
the name thing was kind of funny.
yeah,
They call it the Great Whitesnake Tour.
that actually, that is the first time I got to see you play. Whitesnake was just out on the self-titled tour, Billings,
Oh, really?
Montana. Billings, Montana. I got to see you do that one. Yeah. And
Billings. I got relatives in Dillon.
do you really? Yeah. So I'm from
Yeah.
Bozeman originally. I'm a Montana guy.
Really. Are you watching that Yellowstone?
You know, I tried, man. To be honest with you,
Are you seriously? I'm so addicted to it.
everybody is. The thing is, because I'm from right there, and I worked in Yellowstone too. I worked for the Park Service.
Right.
So,
It's kind of like, eh.
well, the thing is, man, is that the writing is great. The concept is cool because there's never been some series that was like that.
Right.
I get caught up in, hey, so they left the reservation. All of a sudden, they're right in the heart of Bozeman. It's 15 minutes away. No, man, the reservation is
Right.
like 5 hours from Bozeman.
No, there's nothing that's 5 minutes away.
No, that's true. But the magical part about Montana, and I will tell you, you get this, man, because you're there in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. No, Montana. I mean, like I said, I got relatives there. I spent a lot of time there.
But I couldn't wait to get out. I grew up in a cabin in the woods, and I would set up my drums outside the cabin, and I'd blast Scorpions and, Great White, everything else in my, early teens. All I wanted to do was get to Hollywood, man. I wanted to be a rock star. And
Sure.
and now I'm in the woods. I'm up in, the base of the Rockies in Santa Fe, New Mexico, just like you. I mean, I
Oh,
can't.
I love Santa Fe.
It's beautiful, and there's serenity here. It's quiet. I don't have to
Sure.
deal with like the chaos. And now it's funny, right? As we get older, the things that you seek out as an adult. When are we really ever adults? But
An adult, yeah, right.
I,
That's something you grow into when you get older.
yeah. Do you have kids?
Do I have kids?
Yeah.
I have a kid. He's what? I'm trying to think how old he is now. Let me think. He's 18 years younger than me, and I'm 61.
Okay.
So what would that make him? 40, 48, 49?
Yeah. So like, I'm curious about it, because I've got a couple of kids in their 20s right now, and my 23-year-old, he's a musician, and I look at
Yeah, so is mine.
Is he? Okay. So when he got into the business, did you have to sit him down and say, okay, look, I'm not going to piss on your dreams, but there's some things that Dad's got some wisdom about that I want to coach you on. Did he listen?
He got the talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, not really. I mean, if he would have got the talk, he would have quit the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's true. It's sad, but it's true these days. It's not what it used to be. It's not like, and it wasn't like it was easy getting signed back in our day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
well, you guys
nowadays it's like 1,000 million times harder. There are no labels really, getting a record deal, you got to go on some talent show and, be the voice or something. And then maybe you'll get a shot at it. Or I don't even know how you do it anymore, man. I have no conception on how you would get a record deal, or if there are even any labels that are signing anybody.
It seems like what they do. I mean, you look at artists that are blowing up, people like the Taylor Swifts and the Justin Biebers and those people that are the pop artists, right? It's rare for anybody to have anything more than one single that gets pushed.
Right.
The labels know, okay, we can just soak these guys as much as we can for one song. and then you never hear from him again. You know, so
Right.
there are no legacy artists anymore. And
No, there's not.
they, you know, this is great. There's a person in the chat here who said that he took, let's see, he took his buddy the day out of rehab to the Whitesnake Great White concert in Portland, Oregon, which is where I just moved from. They met you after the show, and he let you swig off his bottle of Jack, 1989. You know, God, you know, it's interesting
The
because
day out of rehab.
God, man,
My day out of rehab.
his day out of rehab, but
Oh, his day out of rehab. Okay.
yeah. No, Brett Venery was talking about this. Well, I mean, that's another thing too.
I think I remember that. Wait a minute, it was his first day out of rehab, right?
That's what he says. Yeah, and you remember?
I had a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Was that your drink of choice?
I swear, I think I remember. I want to say I remember that. I have a vague recollection of that. But who knows?
Was that your
Sounds
drink
like
of
something
choice?
I do.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Here, let me finish wrecking your life. You're on the right path. What happened?
Right. God. You know, it's interesting, man. I've had some amazing conversations on this show about that kind of stuff. You know, Rudy Sarzo came on and we talked about just the amount. I mean, because of course you toured with him, right? He was in the Whitesnake era when you guys
of course,
with
absolutely.
him. And I had asked him about the incredible adversity that he had overcome, right? I had just watched the Randy Rhoads story. So, you know, the fact that he was on the bus with Ozzy, you know, when
Right.
the plane clipped, and then, you know, so he lost his best friend, you know, in Randy, and he said he quit the business at that point. For, you know, in his mind, the heart and the passion he had for music was gone. And then he went on, he loses Dio, he loses Kevin DeBrow, he loses Frankie Banali, like all of his bandmates, the guys that have been, you know, these close
integral in his life. Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, most people, you know, they would never come back from that. And he was very open about it. He said, man, I discovered Alcoholics Anonymous, man. You know, and he said, from that point forward, it just, he surrendered. And so, you know, we talk about recovery and rehab and relapse. And I just hit 10 years sober, man. It was the best thing.
Awesome.
Probably, it could have just kept me, you know, I would not be alive. I certainly would not be in the music business. And I partially did it too, because as I said, I got kids that are in the, you know, entertainment business. I wanted them to know you don't have to go down that path if you don't need to. It's
absolutely not. Save yourself a bunch of misery.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, talk about overcoming adversity. I don't know anybody else really that's, you know, overcome as much as you have, man. I mean, you know, I know that you've certainly had your ass kicked in the business. Most people, they would never come back. And, you know, we talked a little bit about just, and I hope you're okay with me asking you this. And I don't know if you remember this, but I talked to Heather about it, your wife. One thing that I just noticed when you and I had a chance to sit and it kind of got quiet around is I looked in your eyes. You've got so much emotion in your eyes. And for me, in the music business, it's a tricky thing. A lot of people are so guarded that they put up their walls. They don't let you get in. And I could see that there was so much emotion right there in your eyes. You could see, man, that you've been through a lot of shit. And the fact that you're out there not only doing it, overcoming the adversity, you're not mailing it in, man. I mean, the fact that you've been putting out, you know, new music, when you get on stage, on that cruise in particular that we just did, this boat is rocking, man, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, like, I know that I have a drum set back there that I'm anchored behind, but I don't know how guys can get up on this cruise and play and stand up straight. And I remember you getting up there, and once you grabbed the microphone, man, it was like, you know, what you were put on the planet to do took over. And so I'm curious, I mean, like, how do you summon that kind of passion and emotion? This is not a gimmick, man. I mean, I could see it in you that this is what there's a reason that you're still doing what you do. Do you have a ritual, or what do you do, man? How do you summon this thing to overcome and go out there and kick some ass?
Well, you know, there's a lot of warming up. There's a great deal of work I do prior to going on stage. Like, you know, I start 6 hours before the show, warming my voice up, you know, really like softly,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll do it like every hour and a half. I'll do like a 10-minute little session, you know, and I'll increase the volume on that and the intensity as it gets closer to the show. And like half an hour before I go on, I do my final one, which is a little longer and a little, a little more pronounced. And then after that's done, I'll get ready to go out and do the show. And then when I get done with that, I'll come back and I'll warm down.
Really? You have to warm down
yeah.
too?
Oh, yeah. It's like, I look at it like this. If let's say you're a marathon runner, right, or the Olympics or whatever, you're not just going to get up and start running.
Sure.
I mean, you're going to stretch out and you're going to get all warmed up and loosened up, and then you're going to go do your run. And when you get done with your run, you're going to walk it off. You're going to stretch out again. You're going to warm down. You're not just going to stop, sit down.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing. It's just a muscle. If you look at it as such and treat it as such, it should work for you fine for as many years as you need it to. Obviously it's going to get older and things aren't going to work as well. I mean, like my voice is not what it was back in 1985 or 87, but I mean, it's not that far away either,
Yeah.
So,
I was floored. I will be honest with you, man. I was so hoping, that you were still singing those notes and the songs that everybody expects to hear. I mean,
right.
I don't know about for you, but I talked to a lot of people too that were huge fans of Great White, and when you did Missed a Bone, they're like, oh yes, I mean, of course you're gonna do Once Bitten Twice Shy and Rock Me and Lady Red Light.
Yeah, that's a have to, right?
Yeah, but the fact like Missed a Bone came out there and people were freaking out. The wind down that you talk about, for me, it's energy, like, cause I get so amped up on stage. It's an energy exchange, with people out in the crowd. And I don't know about for you. I as a drummer, contact with a couple of select people in the crowd, man, and I just give them what I can. I want to get something from them too. And then when it's over, I have to kind of just get quiet for 15, 20 minutes, because
Sure.
The adrenaline's there and my body temperature's, there. And I want, instead of going out, I love being social, but I want to wind down and just have nothing in my head for a little bit. So
Right, some quiet time, yeah.
yeah. As your wind down goes, do you kind of like section off in dressing room and get away from everybody else, or how do
Yeah.
you? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I go off myself and just close up shop and just me and my little, my CD player and or my phone actually,
Headphones
and just
on?
warm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the hardest song that kind of like the stuff that you really have to prep for? What's the one that's the most grueling when you're performing live right now?
Probably Oliver Now or Lady Red Light.
Yeah.
One of those two. I mean, they're both pretty up there in register,
Yeah.
And, they stay up there too. It's not like just one little part.
Right. Yeah, Oliver Now. Yeah, that chorus, so everything is
Choruses,
yeah.
yes.
Man, I was going to ask you, man, if you're cool with it, because I think I told you in sort of prep for this, and went through and listened to the He Saw It Coming record, and I want to tell people that are watching this thing in the chat, if you haven't done so, this is not me pitching this because he's here, but let me say something to you about this record. Everything you would want to hear from your voice is there. Vocally, the range is all there and your inflections. I mean, your voice, the signature voice is all still there. This record is timeless though. There's stuff that I hear references from, influences from you that surprised me. Like, it's the title track. I hear a Queen reference in that. There's a Brian May vibe in the guitar. The chorus is super huge, but it doesn't sound like a 70s and early 80s Queen track. It sounds like what Queen might do if they joined forces with Great White in 2022, or 2017. Right. And you've got a doo-wop song on the record, the harmonies are huge. And so there's there's romantic stuff on there. There's hard rock stuff, blistering, Robbie's like flailing. I mean, the guitar work is so badass, but the songs on that record, start to finish, they're unique. They're timeless. It's a really, really good record.
Thank you. It's probably my favorite record that the band has ever done. I mean,
really?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and I don't mean just obviously this band, because it's the only record this band's ever done, really.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
mean, as far as I combine everything that I've done in my career, is probably sums up the best record of my career. And with the second one being I Can't Get There From Here, that would be
yeah.
my second favorite album. You know,
It-
but it really is. It's a journey. The album is a journey, and I really I don't know if it takes a certain type of person to appreciate it. Um,
I don't think so because there's
don't
a
go into it thinking you're going to hear just a regular Great White Album. Like, you know,
yeah,
you're not going to hear One Spittin' or you're not going to hear Twice Shy. You
right.
know, it's something a lot more diverse than that, you know.
Totally.
But at the same time, it still has that vibe that brought you into liking those two records, you know, is still there, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's its own album.
It is. I was going to tell people. I mean, if you're looking for like the heaviest stuff that I've heard from you, Spy versus Spy is so badass. It's a great, really, it's fun and it's a high energy song. So if you want to, just go out and drive fast and listen to that song, the title track I think is amazing. I was going to ask you about My Addiction, because it's a profound song, man. It sounds to me
Yeah,
like this is maybe some of your past. You talked a little bit about where you've
absolutely.
been uh, when one thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about this beforehand. The last thing I want to do is I'm not Howard Stern, so I'm not digging up dirt. I didn't find dirt, but what I did wonder about, is like the disparity between Great White, Jack Russell's Great White. I'd heard all this sorts of different things, and I was looking up, and I saw an interview that Mark Kendall did where he said, Jack and I, we never had disagreements, man. Maybe 2 times in our entire career. I have nothing but love for him. There was his concern about, earlier in the days when your, drug use had really kicked your ass, drug use and alcoholism. Um,
Right.
and it broke things down. And so I was glad to hear that. I was glad because it didn't sound like there was a bunch of name calling, and I knew that there were lawsuits because the use of the name. Now, this is something I'm very familiar with, right? Because I play drums
Yeah,
in a flock of seagulls,
of
but
course.
I'm not from Liverpool, man, right? So our singer from a flock of seagulls is the only original member, right? There's a massive fan base that like had Facebook groups of the official A Flock of Seagulls or the original Flock of Seagulls, and they talk all sorts of shit about everybody else in the band. And I'm not going to fight those guys because I agree. I love the original band, right? I'm a big fan. If it weren't for that band, I would never have the opportunities I have right now.
Sure.
What I did do is I want to be an advocate for the original band. So I invited them. We were playing the Cavern Club in Liverpool. And I said, a lot of you guys are out there in Liverpool, man. Come to the Cavern Club, where the Beatles broke, and it'll be a fun, intimate show. If you come to the show and you feel like we didn't bring it, I'll give you your money back. And a ton of people came to the show, and they were appreciative of the fact that I was engaging. I welcomed them in. I wanted them to know that I'm not trying to be the original band. I wanted to honor the legacy. And I feel like that's what I saw with you. I don't see I don't see it being a dramatic thing at all. And I might be wrong, man, but to me, I don't know anything about the lawsuits that happen. When I hear you play, and I've seen Great White without Jack Russell, unfortunately, man, and I'm not trying to paint that in a bad picture, but you can't have Great White without your voice. It just doesn't happen. And I'm sure that you got all sorts of people that have been fans of the original band. They're like, what about the original guys? Won't you all get back together? And
Yeah.
that just doesn't work sometimes, And so
No.
how do you deal with that kind of conversation with people, where maybe you can have them as advocate and not adversaries?
Well, as far as the fans are concerned, I mean, for the most part, they've been really cool about it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, of course, most of them would rather see us back together again. There are a few people that, for whatever reason, like like a new guy better, which I don't understand. I'd be like
Right.
somebody saying to me, I like somebody better than Steven Tyler and Aerosmith.
Right. That
You know,
doesn't
or
work.
get rid of that
Yeah.
Robert Plant schmuck. Let me hear somebody else.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Back to each his own, but you
Sure.
know, some things just defy explanation or logic. So, but for the most part, I think people would like things to see them back the way they were. Which will never happen.
Yeah.
You know, it just those days are gone, and anybody out there that's hoping and wishing and praying, and it's not going to happen. I'll tell you right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you have it.
Both camps agree. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's great if there's no drama, right? I mean, both camps agree and everybody can still make a living and you're not.
Yeah, I don't jump on the drama train. I mean, unfortunately, there's still people that do. In my other band that still choose to pass along the negativity, and I just I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody. It's
Yeah.
like, why?
Yeah. It
I
doesn't
mean,
do
we
any
were
good.
all huge friends for years. I
Yeah.
mean, we accomplished one of the hugest things you never accomplish,
True.
together. I
Yeah.
mean, something that's almost impossible. We pulled off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were on 5 major labels, so we did it 5 times.
Wow. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not
Wow.
kidding.
Wow. Yeah. That doesn't happen ever.
No, I mean you usually you lose one, you're blackballed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were on 5 different major labels, and so there's something to say for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just never was going to let up until I was done.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't see you letting up. I mean, like I said,
no,
the fact that you maintain it's great to know about your warm ups and your warm downs because I know I just saw Scorps a month ago. Whitesnake was on the tour with them, and unfortunately, David Coverdale's voice went out. And like I said, I mean, sometimes no matter what you do, right, it just can't keep up. And it was tough, because people that aren't musicians or performers, they don't get it, right?
no.
People speculate. They're like, "Oh, he must be on drugs. He must, he just like,
Yeah,
he's
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
lazy."
One bad note, and I'm on cocaine or
Right,
smoking crack. Yeah.
right. Yeah, like when I said I saw that interview about Mark Kendall saying, that Jack couldn't hold up on stage. I've seen it, man. I mean, I've seen like, from start to finish, you give 100%, you're kicking ass. I don't see any fault, in your show at all. And not only just you, man, but your band brings it. It's cool to see Tony and Robbie and Dan. You had Stephen Mills playing drums with you on the cruise, like and sitting in with
Yeah,
you
I did
guys.
on a cruise. Yeah, that's
And
our normal guy is Ken Mary right now.
are you kidding me? I'm a
No,
I'm a huge Ken Mary fan.
yeah,
House of
he's
Lords.
frightening.
Yeah, he is ridiculous, and he can play everything: jazz, Latin. It doesn't even.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good to know, Ken. If you're watching this, I sent you a note on Facebook a while back ago about having you come on and be part of my drummers forum. So that's great to know that he's your cat.
yeah,
And well, you certainly haven't lost a step. I mean, he's one of the greatest drummers out there right now and on the
yeah. He
planet.
doesn't suck.
No, he does not suck. So what's going? Are you guys recording some new stuff?
Yeah, we're in the midst of doing a bunch of different stuff. I mean, I've got 2 albums I'm working on aside from Great White.
Really?
The Great White album is about half done as far as writing. I'm doing a record for Cleopatra, which is half Danté Fox and half cover stuff, like old cover stuff, like 70s and 60s and stuff like that, some 80s stuff,
Yeah.
And then I'm doing a record for Frontiers, which is me, Tracy Guns, some other people, and we're doing a bunch of songs that this Italian producer wrote, and we're just playing them. We're just knocking down whatever they wrote. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. It's different. It's different to play somebody else's song that was never like a hit or anything like that. So you don't know what you're gonna get. But so far it's pretty cool.
For that covers record, do you mind giving us a sneak preview to what songs you might be covering in that record?
Well, Danté Fox stuff nobody's gonna know, so I won't. I'll leave that alone.
Okay.
Let's see what. I think we're doing All Right Now.
You're doing All Right Now on that? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're doing Can't Drive 55.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I'm trying to remember all those tunes, and forgive me if I can't. My brain's not that great a shape.
No problem, man. You speak about Can't Drive 55. Are you and Sammy close?
You know, I wouldn't say we're close, no, but I mean, I've done a show with Sammy. I know him. He invited me up on stage one night. We were playing together, and we did a whole lot of love together, and that was just awesome.
God, I'll
Just
bet.
awesome. Actually, there's a really cool picture of him and I in my book that's coming out.
Tell me about the book. I didn't know about
Oh, the
this.
book. The
Yeah.
book's it's called what's it called? True Tale of Mr. Bone. Something like the Devil in the Deep Blue Sea, right? No, that's not that anymore. I forget. Anyway, it's something like the True Tale of Mr. Bone. Jack Russell, blah 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 blah, whatever.
Okay.
It's it's a really good book. It's super well written. There was this girl, Chip Zdanuff's wife, Kate Catalina. She is an extremely good writer, and we got hooked up together. And she's been writing the book, and it's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, I have a ghostwriter, so it's like it's me, but speaking through her.
Sure.
You know, so it'd be a little more eloquent than like, hey, fucking, and fucking, you know, and then fuck, fucking, fucking, fuck, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So
she translates rock and roll for you.
Yeah. She speaks rock and roll. Yeah.
The transcription.
It's kind of like that. I speak jive, you know, on the airplane.
You're right. Man, you know, it's crazy. I mean, you were talking about Chips enough too. We've done so many gigs together and so many iterations, and I've like you know, I've sat in with a bunch of the 80s sort of pop and new wave artists and Missing Persons,
right.
You know, and Tommy Two-Tone and all these artists, but he was doing the Missing Persons gig for a little while, and I think, you know, he's one of those people too that he ought to have a book coming out as well. There are some chapters.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That guy's got some stories, man.
Yes, he does, man. I think he's a walking TV reality show, you know. But and you're God, you're you know, you talk about chapters of the book, man. I think to me, it seems like, you know, you've had a lot of different chapters in your life, man, you know, and most people, you know, I think once, you know, you hit early 2000s, like chapter's over, right? They're just like, okay, screw this, man. I mean, the industry's hard enough as it is. And I'm curious to know that, and I should say people that are, oh God, this guy just said in the chat, he said he just spit out his water, that you speak rock and roll. He speaks the jive airplane reference. Anyway, but I was going to say, like, you know, people that don't understand the music business, you know, they think even the stuff that they think goes on backstage, right, is
right.
mythical. But how, you know,
didn't used to be.
No, that was those things were real, but anymore, man, it's just great if you can get, you know, like something
like it's like Wonderama.
Right. But I think about how important it is to have people in your life and really good sort of structure in your life. Like, I mean, I hope it's okay to say, I watched how supportive like Heather was, you know, like that. Your bride is a rock. You know, it's really, really cool to see that you've got this person in your life that cares about you, values, you know, what you do for your passion, but also wants to support you in a way that, you know, is it's supportive without, you know, overstepping. And for me, I have a close circle of people that I depend on for things like I need perspective. I need, you know, I mean, we all need therapy in a huge way.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
God, man. And I, you know, with the amount of adversity that you've gone through, like did you've had enough PTSD, I would think, that would warrant any.
Yeah, I got enough for me and about half the planet.
Yeah, man. How do you cope with that stuff? I mean, do you have rituals? Do you meditate?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you know, it's not like an everyday thing. It comes and goes. You know, fortunately, it's not like every single day grinding on me. You know, but you know, yeah, there's a lot to live with. I mean, you know, having been through so many things. I mean, you know, when I was younger, going through the jail thing, and you know, then of course the fire, and the breakup of the band and the lawsuits and
Oh,
it's just all this stuff. I mean, culminates in a really, really, really a huge tragedy. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it does. There is quite a bit of PTSD.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but you deal with that. I deal with it the way I deal with it. I've been to a lot of therapy sessions, which really didn't do me much good. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I just kind of went in feeling like I did when I went out. Matter of fact, this one lady, she was just excited that I was her client. I
oh
mean,
man,
you can tell her from when she brought in the newspaper article from
no,
Rhode Island one time, asked me to sign it, and that was
you've
like
got to be shitting me.
that was my last day with her. I was like, you got to be kidding, it's a fucking
Oh,
circus, man.
yeah,
I go, give me a break.
that's the kind of
So she
person.
must go home and tell her friends, oh, yeah, I talked to that singer again. Oh, yeah. And then he said this and he said that and he said this. And yeah, I just, it's like, man, this is not a show and tell,
All
This is
the
my life we're
anonymity of a
talking about.
therapist, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
that's like, and there's absolutely no way for you to recover with that kind of stuff. Like, I mean,
No.
that's shitty. I would, I talk to people on the show a lot about mental health, and holidays are tough too, man. Without me getting in the soapbox, I should put this up here just for a quick second, guys. There's This is across the board. If you look at the link, then the number down here below, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, this crisis line. We're getting into the holiday season. If you are like a lot of people, millions of people out there, man, time with family or time without family is really difficult. And there are people that are out there that are better than the therapists that Jack was just talking about that really do want to help. And
Right.
if you feel like you're just without a number to call or anybody to lean on, call this number that I posted, 1-877-726-4727. They are there to listen and they're there to help. So make sure that you do that and don't try to handle it on your own. There's a lot of stuff.
Right.
Man, I mean, you just can't handle it alone. I talked about recovery. I had it in the family, alcoholism, and I saw drug addiction and alcoholism everywhere I looked in music growing up. And
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to be that guy. And sure enough, man, it snuck up on me in a way that I just felt like I cannot live the rest of my life like that. And I certainly don't want
Right.
to be a dad. If I can be a good example, then for me, I just needed to,
That's what started me on the road to sobriety when I first got sober back in
yeah,
92. Was my stepson, you
really,
know. Yeah, I mean, this is a really sad story. This shows you how depraved you can get. I mean, I was at home one day and I dropped him off at school, and my wife at the time, she was at work, and I didn't have any cash on me, you know, and I didn't have the car. No, wait, I did have the car, of course I did, but I didn't have a bank card at the time. We just moved to our new area where we had our new house at, and so I had no way of accessing any cash, and I wanted to get some beer, so I went into my kid's bank, his toy bank, and I pulled out enough for a 6-pack. And I went down to the store and bought a 6-pack. And I felt so horrible about that.
yeah,
Oh my God. Of course I paid it back, but it was like, man, you stole from your kid's piggy bank, dude.
yeah.
I mean, how low is that, So that night I remember waking my wife up like 2 a.m. and saying, hey, I got to tell you something I did. And that was the last time I drank. And for years, I went back out again like eight or so years later, but it that was the catalyst.
It's
At that
amazing, man,
time.
that you even told her, right? I mean, because the guilt
Oh
and the
yeah,
shame,
yeah,
all
the
the shit
guilt.
you
That's what it
hide.
was. I couldn't keep it in myself.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just horrible. And she
Did you?
was cool. She understood. What I mean, she understood, but she was happy I was quitting.
Yeah. Did you ever have a chance as your stepson got older to be able to tell him that story?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Man, I mean, that story is, you're not the only one, right? I mean, that kind of stuff it's an
Oh no,
endless,
of course not.
so many people go through it. And, in the business that we're into, it's considered like a rite of passage. I remember getting a DUI and going to jail overnight, and all of my buddies, especially I had friends that were attorneys. They're like, oh, What, you blew a .08? Are you kidding me, man? Amateur move, right? And that's just this is your first DUI. You know what a
Yeah,
rookie.
right.
And I look back about it and I think, yeah, I blew a .08 then, but the amount of times I drank a hell of a lot more and
Right, you didn't get caught.
risked everything, man. And yeah, it's nothing that I'm proud of for sure. And I'm
Yeah,
really
no, I mean, I've gotten 2 DUIs and I should have had 100. You know, I
yeah.
mean, easily. I mean, I've been so fucked up on the road. I'm driving before. I mean, I had I had to close both eyes to see straight.
Oh, God, right. You drive by feel, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Okay.
God, man. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, even before the rumble strips, man, a lot of the times they didn't have rumble strips, right? So,
Right.
but if you back I remember justifying it. I thought, well, yeah, man, it's a mile and a half, but I could do it with my eyes closed, which is pretty much what I did,
Good,
and
but you did, yeah.
yeah, but you know, and we all know too many stories of guys that just didn't make it, right? I mean, just the fact that, either they got somebody else or they took themselves out with it. I mean, dude, I talk about gratitude. We're both sitting here today, I'm
Yeah,
grateful for it.
I'm eternally grateful for that. That's for sure.
It's funny. I talk about gratitude. I moved here to Santa Fe just about a month ago from Portland.
Really, don't you love it?
It's amazing, man. I mean,
Portland's great though too, man. I
yeah.
got relatives in Bend.
And so Bend reminds me,
Bend, Oregon.
yeah, Bend reminds me a lot of what Santa Fe is.
Yeah.
Oregon was everything to me for 30 years, man. I mean, I was there like 30 years. It's nuts that honestly, like 2 days before I moved here, I just got inducted in the Oregon Music Hall of Fame. And then I had to
Oh,
say,
really?
bye-bye, guys. I'm out of here. I'm grateful, man. And Oregon is a huge part of my life. But when I came here, I needed to escape everything. I don't know about you, but for me, I have a ton of friends there, family. My boys are still there in Portland, and I kept my house there. That's where they're at. But I needed to go someplace where I didn't know anybody. I wanted to go up in the mountains where I could just kind of connect with trees and the
Right.
forest. Today, I've got this this 2-minute gratitude book that a friend of mine gave me, and I wanted to
That's
start
cool.
I wanted to start a ritual where at least the first thing I put in my head, instead of jumping on Twitter or Instagram and kind of getting my head filled with a bunch of garbage,
Right.
I could focus on a couple of things. It takes me 2 minutes,
Little
and
positivity.
yeah, and in a way, it seems a little bit corny, but I'll tell you, man, it does change my attitude. And I was going to ask you, because this is the 2-minute thing that I love asking, friends and people on the show. The first thing that comes to mind. So I'm just going to ask you, all right? So the first thing comes to your mind, Jack Russell, I will let go of.
My fears.
Yeah, good one. It's the first thing I put. One thing you're grateful for today.
My sobriety.
Right on. All right. And then we're going to list 3 things that today I'm going to focus on. It doesn't have to be anything special. Just the first thing that comes to your mind.
My health. Being aware of the love of my wife. And today, spending time with my stepson.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, man, I mean, what more is there, right? You think
No, there's not too much. The older we get, I find, or the older I get, I find that the simpler things become,
Yeah, right.
The more important the simple stuff is. It's not all this hoopla and, I have to have everything's got to have, all bling on it. And, everything kind of has its own fascination. You know what I mean? You don't need to add to it,
Right.
Just less is more,
God, isn't that funny? That as we get older, I know that that's not for everybody, but for me,
No.
that's definitely the
No.
truth.
Yep.
I imagine that as I get older, it's just going to continue to be more that way. That you find the things that are really important, and you can cast away the shit that just doesn't matter. And those connections. You talk about the love of your wife. I could see it, man. I mean, good on both of you guys, because there was, I could see that she was your rock, that you were hers, man, that you guys were inseparable on that cruise, and
yeah, she's my rock and I'm her hard place.
Yeah. Is that a metaphor? Or is it, yeah,
Yeah, right.
no,
Maybe.
yeah, man. We should all be so lucky, right, to be in that kind of situation where you've got those relationships and kids too. I mean, right? I know that during the pandemic, I've talked to a lot of people whose relationships with their family took a hit, right? Whether it had anything to do with the pandemic, political stuff that was going on at the time. It just seems like there was so much divisiveness, and so people lost sight of what really mattered with family. And I've talked to a lot of people who don't talk to their parents, they don't talk to their kids. The
Right.
things that you
That's
talked about,
tough.
yeah, man, it's hard for me to fathom. But the fact that you can recognize those things and be grateful for those, and you know, I mean, what I just read to you, to me, it seems so simple. And I forget to add to that journal sometimes. And I look back and I'm like, God, if I had started my day with just that focus, it would have been a lot easier for me. I wouldn't have gotten my head deep in the garbage that I started filling it with emails and
Right,
that
right.
stuff. But I what I try not to do, and I mentioned this to you, this isn't really meant to be interview style, man. I love the guy that I got to know on the cruise, the guy that was one of my favorite singers, growing up, but also that I saw that you were very real. There was an authenticity about you. And, people that
Appreciate
they
that.
oh man, I mean, that's sincere, like you took time to sit and talk to, not just the peers and musicians, but also just, guys that, as a fellow musician, I think, we get each other a little bit. Well,
Yeah,
I really enjoy, the real stories from people backstage, the stuff that we would talk about.
sure.
Corey Glover from Living Color, right?
Right. Yeah.
We just did, both of the Sands that he in Cancun. He was there the last couple of years, but he was also on the cruise. And I had him on the show. One of the funniest questions that I love asking somebody is, prior to the record deal, right? Right. Prior to Jack Russell getting his great white record deal, what was the last day job you had?
Never really had one.
Really? Rock and roll's
Yeah.
been it for your whole life.
Yeah.
No paper routes,
No, actually, wait. I worked at a car wash
okay.
for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
My job was like drying off the cars, right, when it came out of
Yeah.
the thing. And I'm like running around drying this car off, and I get done. I'm like, oh, God, I'm just wasted. I just start walking across the street, right? All of a sudden, hear the owner go, "Hey, where you going?" I go, "I'm going home. Fuck you."
That's, well, man, you win, like
I can't.
I
I just no. This is not for me, man. I can't do this manual labor stuff.
right. Unemployable, man. Rock and roll is that's the career for you. Then,
Yeah, and and it's funny because it's probably more strenuous doing a show than wiping off cars for the same amount of time. You know what I mean?
okay, but
I mean,
okay, so the labor put in, I get that, but you'd never get the payoff. I mean, you and I both know, dude.
oh
There's
no.
the energy, like when the lights go down,
Oh,
and
that's when it's electric,
oh,
man.
yeah, man. God,
That swapping electricity back and forth between you and the
yeah,
fan. That is the shit, man.
yeah. It's people that never get the opportunity. I feel bad for them, because
I do too. I always wish that everybody could have their 15 minutes,
yeah,
that Andy Warhol in 15 minutes of fame, so they
yeah,
could experience that feeling, so they
yeah,
know what we're talking about. But then you kind of go, nah, I'd rather
yeah,
just do it. You know what I mean?
right.
This
Yeah,
is
don't tell anybody
this,
else. Don't let them
yeah.
in on
Don't
our
tell anybody
secret.
else, man. Yeah.
Well, and honestly, like I said, man, my 23-year-old, he's an incredible drummer, Caleb, but he became a hip hop artist, right? Because everybody would said, "Oh, of course you're a drummer. Your dad's a drummer," and I think he was like, "Okay, I got to find something as far from my dad as I can get." And I would tell him, I
Hobo.
said, "Well, I just said, man, the 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 most incredible thing is when you get up on stage, and you feel this thing that it's unexplainable. There is a sexual kind of thing. I joke about it being orgasmic in a way. There's that
Sure.
flush, and I don't know how else to explain it, man, but it's from the bottom of your belly and it holds you there for a few seconds. It's like the greatest sexual feeling you'll ever have, and you chase it. It's like the drug,
Yep.
man. You want it for the rest of your life, and it doesn't happen every show. It might for you, man. For me, I
No,
chase it,
no.
and and like that's what my book would be. All right, here are the times when it just overtook me, and you can't even manufacture it. There's something about the energy in the room, and it could be a room of 100 people versus 100,000.
Right,
Really,
exactly. It's got nothing to do with the amount of people. It's just
that's true.
it's a performance that you give or the vibe in the room. I think it's got to more or less be with. For me, it's like, am I in that zone? Did I get into that zone where it's like everything's just happening naturally, organically? I'm not having to think about what I'm doing next or think about all these next notes coming. What are the next words? Or I'm just doing it. It's just all coming in one fluid motion. It's like you're just caught up in this stream of consciousness, you know what I mean?
Totally.
And love and music, and it's just all it's way bigger than us.
Yeah, no, you really, man,
cool.
that's the higher power thing, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy to be able to talk to somebody else who gets that.
Yeah.
You had mentioned something earlier about Led Zeppelin without Robert Plant. I know you were a huge fan of Zeppelin. I love the fact that not only have you put out records, like paying tribute to Zeppelin stuff, but way back in the day, man, I remember back in the 80s, you doing Zeppelin stuff and it being uncanny how just authentic that sounded. So it would be ridiculous to ask, but I mean, besides Zeppelin, who were the other influences that just kind of brought that to you?
God, Steven Tyler, Alice Cooper, Ian Gillan,
legends.
Dio.
Oh man, did you ever tour with Dio?
No, never did, but I knew Ronnie though. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I did this interview one time, and the person asked me, he goes, what do you like to write about? I go, well, I like to write about stuff I've been through, you know what I mean? These things that I've experienced. I go, I'll leave all the knights and dragons and kings and queens for the short guys. And I was just taking a jab at him,
Yeah.
And his wife just got pissed.
Wendy did?
She's like, yeah. She's like, that's one tour they'll never get. And, I was like, whoa, wait, easy there, chill, We got it all ironed out later on, but, I apologized to her. I said, hey, I didn't mean anything by it, you know what I mean? And Ronnie never said anything to me about it, you know what I mean? It was funny. He was a great guy, though, great guy. He's a great singer, too, who I got a lot of influence from, but wasn't known as a singer, per se, was James Duar from Robin Trower.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Dave the Eagle.
And that guy had a smoking voice, man, really low and, just
that's interesting. Yeah, because like stylistically, like your range doesn't reflect that to me at all. I mean, I certainly hear, the upper register stuff and I always picture that. But then when I heard the doo-wop stuff on your record, I thought, oh, okay, I hear, man, that, and it doesn't come off hokey either, man. There was a Huey Lewis song that came out in the 80s that was like that. And I thought, oh man, you can hear that these guys grew up on that. Like Huey Lewis grew up listening to that kind of stuff and brought it out. And so this wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to throw something else in there just to be funny. And, so you can tell that you've listened to a pretty wide range of music.
Oh, yeah. The 50s thing, that was like where I lived, man. I loved all that stuff, the doo-wop stuff and the Motown stuff. That was, one of the biggest days of my life. I remember I walked on to the elevator and I look up and I see
we had Jack freeze there for just a second, buddy. If you come back in, I'm going to interrupt you and have you go back because this was a perfect cliffhanger. This is good. And while we wait for his internet to catch up right there, let me just say, I'm going to put this link back up here again. If you guys are watching this right now and you got in late, I want you to go to this link below, youtube.com/@accesskevin. And I'm going to bring it right back in now. Hey, buddy, we lost you for a second.
But, now we're on.
Yeah, so you were just saying, yeah, like
oh yeah. So where did it leave off?
You were just talking about the doo-wop stuff, and
Okay, okay.
and
So I said there was
influences.
one amazing day in my life. I remember I got on this elevator at a hotel, and I look over, I see this gentleman standing there, and I look up, I go, "Hey man, are you Smokey Robinson?" He
Oh
goes,
yeah.
"Yeah." I'm like, "Whoa, totally cool." And I didn't know what to say to the guy. You know what I mean? I
That,
was just totally tongue tied. I'm like, I couldn't even
yeah.
say anything. I was just like, "Wow." It was funny. He goes, "Yeah."
Yeah. It's funny, man. When you drop your internet connection there for a second, Dogcatcher here in the chat said Smokey Robinson. He must know that story already, so that's good. I think
Oh, that's funny.
have you run into guys like that actually they're because obviously Smokey Robinson, from that Motown era, it doesn't
Brian
get much.
Wilson, I met him.
Yeah, and he knew you, I'll bet, didn't he? I bet he knew your stuff. And
Yeah, he
yeah,
knew we were in the same label, so
okay.
we were out with one of the record guys one day, and yeah, it was that was just like I had the chills the whole time I was sitting next to him. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just perma chills; they wouldn't go away. You know?
That's okay. So let me ask you this: if you had to assemble an all-time, this is your all-star band, right? So, and you're not singing, right? You're the Doc McGee. You're gonna get, the great singer,
Right.
guitarist, bassist, and drummer. Can you line me up an all-star band of your favorites?
Sure, I'd get Smokey Robinson, Brian Wilson, um, John Lennon,
Oh wow.
um, Tony Levin on bass,
Oh
and Vinny
yes.
Colaiuta on the drums.
Oh God. Oh man.
Who
Okay.
who was on those two are on my second solo album.
You had Tony
Vinny
Levin and
Colaiuta and
Colaiuta and
yeah,
Tony. Oh my God. Wow.
yeah.
You
They're on
know,
an album called my second album's called For You.
I have to scope that out. It's ridiculous, man. And Vinny,
Yeah,
for people that don't know, so Vinny Colaiuta, he certainly made a name for himself early on with Frank Zappa, but then, Sting put him on the map, right? Where he was in all the videos. But I have a funny Vinny story for you, because you talked about The Voice earlier, that TV show. Admittedly, I've never seen it, but the drummer on the show is one of my best friends in the world, Nate Morton. Nate invited us to go in and watch the band, the house band for The Voice, tracking all the songs that all the contestants were performing. So they would perform the song, they'd go in the studio, they would record a whole bunch of different variations of it during the day. They would do like 14 tracks with 3 different variations. Those songs would then get mixed, mastered, and bounced to the internet same day, right out of A&M Studios, which is Henson Studios now in LA. I brought my son in. He just turned 18. And I said, I want you to see this experience, man. This studio, first of all, was all the police videos, Copeland running around the top of the consoles, and all the big records were made there. And I want you to watch this. And the whole time, he's not even paying attention to these incredible musicians. He's on his Instagram and he's looking at his phone. And Nate, the drummer, comes in and he goes, "Hey, man, what do you think of this tracking situation?" He goes, "Hey, man, if it's not Rush, I don't care." And he's like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, Neil Peart. It's God to me. Without Neil Peart, there's nothing." And he goes, "You ever heard of a guy named Vinny Colaiuta?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, my dad keeps talking about him, whatever." And he goes, "Okay, hang on a sec." So we went out in his car and we listened to 2 hours of obscure Vinny stuff. And of course, it's mind-blowing, blistering stuff, man, just polyrhythmic stuff that doesn't even make sense unless you're really, really into, incredible progressive music.
right.
And I said, "So what you think, man? You get it, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's great. But play me some of Vinny's lyrics." And I'm like, touche. Okay. For him, Neil Peart was an incredible drummer, but he loved his writing, his songwriting. And I was never a lyrics guy.
Right.
Guilty. Unfortunately, until my late 40s, early 50s, the pandemic did it to me. That's where I became a guy that listened to lyrics. This late in my life, I know it sounds
Right.
so ridiculous, but that's just where I was, melodies and hooks and
No, it
stuff.
doesn't. It doesn't.
But it's my guilty pleasure, and one thing I ask people on this show a lot, and it doesn't matter whether it's musical, food, whatever. Do you have a guilty pleasure that you would disclose here on the show?
Um, Guilty pleasure. Besides masturbation.
Oh, that's not guilty. Yeah, man.
I
Yeah, right. Heather,
have no guilt
you
with
want to weigh
that.
in on that?
I have no guilt with that.
Yeah, absolutely not, man. We're human.
No, I'm honestly probably copious amounts of sushi I devour.
Oh yeah. Are you a sashimi
I
guy?
mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
really it is. Like I usually have it like 3, 4 times a week.
Do you make it at home, or do you actually have a restaurant that you go to?
I can make it at home, but generally I go to a restaurant and eat it out. You know?
Yeah. You know that I'm in Denver a bunch. I don't know how close you are to the city, but do you have a favorite restaurant that you recommend that I go to get some sushi?
God, what's the name of that one? Okinawa, I think it's called. I mean, there's so many of them out here.
Okinawa.
It's funny.
Okay.
Years ago, I went. We played up in a. This was in the '80s. We played up in a. Oh God, what's the name of the place down the road? Um, Hey, Heather, what's the name of the town down the road? No, no. The town that we would have moved to. We would have moved there if we didn't move here.
Loveland?
No. I mean, it's like an hour and a half away.
Oh, Colorado Springs?
Yeah, Colorado Springs.
Okay.
So we were out in the Springs. We're playing in the Springs one night, and we went out and had sushi. Well, actually, we went to a Benihana's. Me
Okay.
and Michael Lardy went to a Benihana's, and you know how they have like a little bit of sushi at those that play. They'll have like some tuna and some whatever California rolls, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm ordering my Benihana stuff, the steak and the shrimp and whatever else. And so I go, okay, give me a tuna roll and a California roll. That's all they had. So they bring that in a little while, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the tuna roll, and it's like an inside out rolls, and inside this thing is canned fucking tuna.
No. What?
Yeah,
At,
it
at
was
Benihana?
canned.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pathetic,
And I
man.
asked the guy, I go, dude, what's with the canned tuna? He goes, oh, customer, they don't like the raw, so we have to switch to cooked tuna.
Hell with that, man. No way.
I'm like, dude, I mean, what if they don't like it? Then don't serve it. I mean,
Right.
don't bastardize it.
Oh, that's
I mean,
the
people
worst.
don't like their raw tuna. It's
Yeah,
like, what do you think sushi is, you idiot?
that's garbage. Well, I wouldn't expect to get the freshest sushi in Colorado. I'm just saying.
No.
but-
I'm really surprised that the restaurants here, have such good fish.
yeah.
But I mean, I guess the freezing and all that stuff, the technology's gone up quite a bit,
Yeah.
since the early '80s.
Right. How far are you from Parker, Colorado?
We're probably about an hour from Parker, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. We just booked a show there, man. And if you're in town at
We
all,
just played there.
Oh, did you? Yeah, the Parker Event Center.
What's the name of the place?
Yeah, I think it's Parker. Let me just make sure. I think it's Parker Event Center. Let's see.
What did we play at the last show?
You were in Parker.
Yeah, what was the name of the place? Do you remember?
It was brand new.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's the event center, because I think Berlin was just there as well, and it looks like a cool place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you guys did the Quarry just north of Sacramento too, and friends of mine were there working the show with you, and they just, when they found out that I was going to be talking to you on the show, they said, "Please give Jack a virtual hug there from all the people there at the Quarry." And it's just north of
right on,
Roseville.
man. Here we go.
You know what, man? You've the nice thing is, anybody that I talked to that had just worked with you guys, and it's funny that we kind of tour in some of the same circuits.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you've just been there. You've left them with a really good feeling. I think there's something about leaving them with positive energy, and that's how I felt about you too, man. And I think I'm hopeful that we get to do more gigs. I know I'm going to see you in the same.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
If I can drag you out to Parker, in April, if you're in town, let's go get some sushi, and it's on me, man. It'd be great to have
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, let me check my schedule, and we'll hook up. If I'm not working, you got it. I'd love to see you get anyway, hang out in a social again. But we've only hung out in the social.
Yeah, well,
really. Kind of sort of social working, but
I
mean,
you know, I became super fan right up front watching you. You know, it's hard for me
oh,
not to
thanks.
do
So
it.
I've always liked Flock of Seagulls. I remember I saw the band. I may have told you this. I don't know. We had there's a place in Anaheim where we lived across the street from. It was called the Woodstock. And it was just
Okay.
a beer joint. They served beer, and that was it. And had a stage, big room.
Yeah.
That was it. And we lived across the street in this little house we rented. The whole band lived there. And I remember, what was I getting at here? What was I getting at?
You saw a flock of seagulls pop through
Oh,
and
no, don't lose
went
it.
over and heckled them.
Oh, yeah, Flock of Seagulls. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, we were there, and I went, and we had a rehearsal studio like right on the other side of the building. So there's like a wall, and then there's our rehearsal studio. So you could
Okay.
hear the bands playing at the Woodstock that when they were playing at night. When we stopped our song, you could hear their music. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I imagine the same thing goes for them, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, but I remember we stopped. We went, hey, let's go check these guys out. You know. So we walked in and checked them out, and I felt so bad. There was like 4 people there.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
God. Yeah.
Well, I mean, these guys
Oh,
were brand new. I mean, they were
sure.
brand right off the assembly line, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and here you're out in Anaheim, California, Orange County. Nobody knew anything about that kind of
Sure.
music, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
And so, I mean, I've had those days. You walk out
sure.
and there's like, you know, hear crickets chirping, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. It makes you
we
appreciate
sat
it.
and watched the whole set, and I thought they were great. I thought they were great.
It's a really unique band to be in, you know, because they were real young. Like Paul Reynolds, a guitarist,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
he wrote that stuff, and he was like 16. You know, those really iconic parts for Iran and Space Age Love Song.
Right.
But you know, it's interesting because you talk about it. They were brand new. I love talking to our singer about some of those days because he said, you know, they were blowing up in the UK and in Europe, but in the US, nobody really knew them. They came over, and then the management said, hey, you know what? We're going to pair you up with this band, the Police. The Police are starting to take off, and they knew, you know, they knew Sting, they knew Gordon Sumner from the UK, but they came over and they did the Synchronicity tour. And he said,
Oh, man, that was huge.
first show, LA Forum, he said we sold more records the day after the show in the Forum than we had the entire career of the band. And he said from that point forward on the Synchronicity tour, yeah, everything blew up for him. And great story about US Festival, because I said I love watching the videos, you know, from the US Festival those days. And he said our US Festival day, we played Paris the night before. We flew over on the Concorde because we had to play the US Festival the next day.
Right.
The Concorde brought us to this hotel, threw our stuff in the hotel, went to the roof. Helicopter took us to the US Festival, flies us out over the crowd. We land backstage and we run up the ramp to walk on stage because he said, you know, we literally had to run on to play. And this dude at the top of the ramp, waiting to talk to him and the guitarist, is Eddie Van Halen. He said, dude, I love your tone. I don't know what you're doing, man, but I'm a huge fan of the band. And Mike, our singer, is like, I didn't know this guy. And I said, Eddie Van Halen took the time, waited out to see the new wave band, you know. But yeah, who would have known?
That's cool. That's a great story.
It is cool when the styles, you know, mesh, where people can appreciate the other style instead of kind of going, oh yeah, pussy new wave band, whatever. But I love it all, man. And like I said, I'll definitely be seeing
good music is good music, man. It doesn't matter, you know, what style it is.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Do you have any new bands, new stuff that you're into these days that?
God, you know, I haven't heard anything new that I've liked in a dog's age.
Yeah.
I just can't wrap my head around what's coming out.
Sure.
It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I can't. Oh yeah, I mean, she's not new. I like Adele. She's not new.
She sings her butt off. Yeah.
Maroon 5, you know, but these aren't new bands. You know what I mean, but that for me, it's new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
But that's about as new as I'm gonna like it. I mean, anything else, you know, I keep thinking of Nationwide is on your side.
Yeah, that's a hook, man. It sticks with you. You know, here, I'll make a recommendation. These guys, this is a band.
Just keep
these guys, Loyal Order from Portland, Oregon, man. This band, I know Eddie Trunk's crew, Don Jameson and Jim
Oh, I
Florentine.
love Eddie. That's good.
Like Don loves the Loyal Order. They're a great band. They've been on my show before, and they're a band that's in Portland that's taken off. It's heavy. I'll send you a link, man. I think you would dig it. So
Cool.
Yeah, you check them out. So listen, I want to thank Heather too, man. I mean, she gave up the dining room time or the dinner time right now for you and I to hang. But
no problem. Hey, I'm the one that's giving up dinner.
yeah, well, I could afford to miss a few meals, man, but I want you to, get your sushi if you can. So we're going for sushi, Parker, Colorado, April 8th, man. That's when I'm going to be there. Guys, if you came here late, do me a favor, run back to the beginning of this. Jack just lost internet for a second. All right, there he is again on the other side.
There we go. Now we're back.
So folks, go back to the beginning of this thing if you got here late. This is a really fun conversation. Jack Russell's got a new record, a new book coming out right now. When do you think the release of the book will be?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I imagine within the next few months.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's close. It's close. We've been working on it for almost 3 years now.
And
I remember. So
Chips and Housewife, she's your ghostwriter. I love it.
Yeah, it's really, really, really well written. I mean, it keeps you interested. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm enjoying reading it. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, really? Oh, I did that? Holy shit.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, I can't wait to read it. So folks, can they find it? They go to Jack Russell's Great White page. Will they be able to find the book?
It will be, yeah. It'll be on the websites once we get it up and running. It'll also be at the shows.
Good.
It'll be on jackrussellsgreatwhiteband.com.
Okay.
Now it's just jackrussellsgreatwhite.com.
Now it's also just jackrussellsgreatwhite.com.
Yeah, there you got it. Right, straight from.
We got our domain name back. It was absconded from us by some scoundrel ex-manager, and took us like 3 years to get it back.
Wait a minute, there are managers in the music business that are scoundrels? Can that be?
No, it's hard. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, man.
I heard rumors like that before. I actually met one too, but I didn't think they were real.
Oh man!
But I guess it's kind of like the cat in the hat, It's you wait around long enough, you'll see one.
That's right, man. Lawyers, music managers, promoters. Oh, they're just kids. If you're thinking about if you're thinking about rock and roll for a career, kids, wait until Russell's book. When Jack Russell's book comes out, I'll bet you're going to find all sorts of reasons why you're going to choose a different career path. So
yeah, right. Should have been a doctor.
Yeah. Well, man, the good thing about it is you're on this side of it. You're smiling. Yeah. You look great. You sound killer. You got a wonderful wife, and man, I'm grateful.
I really do. I have to admit, I do.
Yeah, good for you, man.
It's one of the joys of my life.
That I'm grateful for the time that I got to hang. This is the most time uninterrupted that we've gotten. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Guys, if you came late, I want you to do me a favor. Go to the link below, youtube.com/@accesskevin. And you can see this thing from the beginning. This was episode 260 since the pandemic started. Can you believe
That's amazing.
That, man? I had to do something.
Congratulations,
when we had no gigs. Thank you, buddy. Not all of them are as exciting as yours, man. But
for
me,
come on.
I'm grateful, man, that I have people like you in my life that just show up and they're real. I appreciate the vulnerability and just being real, man. It's a rare thing,
Only way to be, man. Only way to be. So I know how to do this, and so I know how to be as me.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's inspiring for a lot of people that are trying to figure that thing out. So, sushi on me when I see you next. And
all Heather, right, you got it.
Thank you
got
my
name.
much.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Text me your information, your numbers, your address.
You got my social security number. Social security number, my lawyer's number,
your PIN number.
Right. My bank accounts aren't going to get you anywhere. It won't help you, my man. I'm sorry. But here, look at I got 29 cents to my name right now. So but I got a 10-year coin. That's more valuable than anything else, right?
That is more valuable. That's a great one.
You're a good human being, Jack Russell. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hey, my pleasure, brother.
And Heather, thank you for sharing. And I really appreciate you guys being patient and figuring this thing out. So, folks, come back with us. I'll be here in a few days. I think my next interview is with my son, capital K, he's going to preview his new record. And I've got, are you a Breaking Bad fan, Jack?
Breaking Bad? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We love that show. We binge watched that, Heather and I.
Okay. So I've got these guys. I went the other day to Los Pollos Hermanos in Albuquerque, which is, where they filmed Gus Fring's spot.
Yeah.
And they pointed me to the Albuquerque Breaking Bad store where these guys are historians. There's a whole museum about Breaking Bad, and these dudes are fanatic. They've got so much cool Breaking Bad stuff. And so I'm going to have them on the show.
They got the blue meth.
Oh yeah, I got some. Don't tell my kids, but I got them some stocking stuffers actually. So yeah, they got rock candy, blue meth candy. Yeah, it's goofy, but they have so much cool stuff, man. And these guys, they're fun to talk to. So they're going to be on the show next week as well. So you can find out all that stuff at accesskevin.com. Boy, I feel like a car.
Well, I've been wanting to take Heather to Santa Fe for a while, so
yeah,
we'll have to get down there, because it's a great. I love the square down there. It's such a great place to shop, and there's like the store there. They sell like animal skin rugs.
Yeah,
that's all they sell is like animal skin rugs, and it's just amazing.
They're all Seagulls,
and like they have like comforters made out of like animal skins and just beautiful furs. And, oh man, I love it.
It's an art community, man. I mean, that's the thing. It's like there's so much. The sculptures and the paintings and the prints and everything. This store or this city is remarkable. But for me, I'm 7 minutes outside of downtown, 3.8 miles up against a mountainside. I walk out my door into the trees, and I cannot tell you how much I love it, man. It's so beautiful. I had a really cool bear in my yard the other day.
You bought a house out there?
I rent a casita. Yeah. I have a web business on the side, and one of my clients, she does writing retreats. So from all over the world, people come in to work on overcoming writer's block. And I came out to visit so that I could help her sort of stylize her website to convey the feeling that they might get from the retreat. And I said, how do I stay here? And they happen to have a casita built onto it. And so I'm renting that. And I never want to leave, man.
Wow, that's awesome. What great luck, man.
Yeah, really, man. Knock on wood, right? So when you and Heather come out, man, come visit. We'll go and check out.
We'll do.
Beautiful.
You can count on it, man. That sounds great. I love Albuquerque, and I talked to her about it on several occasions. It's just a gorgeous place.
Yeah,
Santa Fe, baby, Santa Fe. Sorry.
Santa Fe. Yeah, Albuquerque's a little different, right?
I just kind of know where that came from. I was thinking about Dawkins because Dawkins moved to Albuquerque, I think.
Don did, really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry for Don. I know he was a Phoenix guy, right? I think all those guys were originally Phoenix.
No, Don's from Redondo Beach. Mickey Brown was from Phoenix.
That's right. Yeah. I think he's still there. But yeah, man. Well, Santa Fe, buddy, you come knocking, and I know there's some good sushi
absolutely.
here. I found good sushi. So, all right, man. Well, Heather, thank you again, and Jack Russell.
In the room. Hey, Heather, come here.
Nice. Yeah.
Safe.
I
do
just want
to hear.
Yeah. Hey, Heather. I just wanted you to
Kevin.
know. Thank you not only for making this happen and have Jack on, but for sharing the time. It was really nice to get to talk to you on the cruise too. I think you're a pretty special lady, and I look forward to sharing some sushi with you when I'm in Parker. So,
that would be awesome. I think you're an amazing person. You are so fun, and you just lift other people by being around you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's our job, right? I mean, what's the other way, right? It's just like we can we can be a detriment.
You're a special person too.
I have been called special, but it's not usually in the best context, So,
yeah, right. Short bus.
Right. Yeah, that's been a nickname for a while. But I look forward to seeing you guys there. And please do come visit me in Santa Fe. I would love it.
Will do. Sounds great, man. Make sure you give me that information over.
Let's
stay in touch.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you so much for participating in the chat. And everybody that's been a member of this channel, I really appreciate it. Subscribe, come back. There's plenty of great shows, but I really want to thank my buddy Jack Russell here. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank everybody for coming and watching.
Happy Thanksgiving.